Hello, you are listening to A Woman's Guide, Episode 11. Do you neglect your need for sleep? Why is that? Why is sleep so important, and why is it so damaging when we don't get it? Today's episode is How to Overcome Physical Neglect, Part 1. This is a woman's guide to reclaiming wholeness after sexual abuse. For all of you listening, welcome to the show. I am Simone, your confidant and guide. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, so before we get into sleep, I just wanted to clarify something. It's just something I feel like I need to clarify. It's not anything serious. It's just something, it's a reminder if you have not watched, or if you've been watching the show, or if you're tuning in for the very first time, it's just something that I want to address, okay? So, I just wanted to say that this podcast really is personal development for women who have gone through sexual abuse. It is not trauma recovery, okay, per se. It's not. That's not my focus. My focus is not the abuse itself. My focus is personal development for women, or becoming more, I guess, holistic in terms of knowing our true selves, uncovering our true selves, and knowing who we are as women, okay, through all these different videos and the different topics that I'm speaking about. But it is through the lens to which that I can see things, because I've been sexually abused. So I know that other women are experiencing some of the same problems. So I'm really catering it to women who have gone through certain sexual abuses or gone through sexual abuse. Okay, but it's not to focus on the sexual abuse itself. It's really just about taking what it is that we need to develop and what we need to do to become better and to become more balanced and whole and happy. Okay, keeping in mind that there's certain residues and there's certain distortions and lies and ideas about ourselves that come from the abuse. So I'm speaking about these topics through the lens of someone who has gone through that abuse and what you may be experiencing as a result of that. Okay, so that is what I wanted to say about that, because I can't just assume that anyone who, if you're tuning in for the first time, and you read the description of the show, that you understand exactly what this show is about. So if you're thinking that I'm just going to be speaking about everything pertaining to just the abuse specifically and focusing on the abuse, that's not what I'm doing here. It's really about personal development and getting those things out of the way so that we can get back to our true self, getting all those habits and ideas and beliefs and those things that developed directly from that trauma, getting it out of the way so we can clear ourselves to understand who we truly are and become our best self. So that's really what it is. Okay, I can't really assume that everyone, I can't assume that I'm trying to talk to the listener, who you are. I cannot assume that you know exactly what the purpose of this show is, or you totally interpret it in that way. Okay, so, and I decided to say this today because I'm making an episode about neglecting your sleep, how we can neglect our sleep and how we're physically neglecting ourselves that way. So in case you're thinking, okay, so where is she going with this? What is she doing? Or why is she talking about these subjects? I thought this was just about abuse, sexual abuse. It's not. It's just I make reference to it. And I bring up certain issues related to the topic. Okay, but it's not focusing on trauma recovery or just focusing on the abuse itself. It's about personal development, okay? So that, hopefully that cleared it up for you, in case you're wondering, okay, where is she going with this? Why is she talking about all these different types of subjects? It's because it's personal development, okay? So anyway, let's go on. Let's get right into the show. So, I believe that we are a very sleep-deprived age, okay? We're in a sleep-deprived age in time, in human history. We've never been so tired. We've never been so wired and distracted and overwhelmed. Okay, because of all these different things that are going on in the fast-paced life and all these different technologies and all these different responsibilities and all this, our lives are very complex. They're very complex. Okay, so there's a lot going on. We don't have so much of a simple life. Okay, we are lacking restfulness and sleep. And because we're lacking restfulness and sleep, we are stressed and we are depressed and we become sick, okay? And I would mainly say that, I don't know where you're listening from, but I would say particularly Western cultures. And it's not to say that there's other cities or countries out there besides North America, or South America, where it's more of a fast-paced, you know, busy, complex life. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to sit here and say that other countries beyond where I live or the hemisphere that I'm living in doesn't have these same issues, okay? I think it's all over the world. But I know particularly for Western cultures, we're more prone to this fast-paced, complex, and busy life and busy societies, and we don't allow much downtime for rest and relaxation, and that's not a good thing, okay? And I believe that a lot of us, because we're so intertwined with all our issues and our problems and difficulties and our responsibilities, some of us do not know how to care for or I would say some of us do not know or care about the importance of a good night's rest. That's just what I think. It comes with the territory, okay? And there's a group of us, of course. This is one of the reasons why we neglect sleep. Some of us are working too hard. We're just too busy, too busy. Frequently working long periods of time. Maybe you have a job, you're working out there, you're going to work, or you have a business, or you have a big family, you do a lot of housework, you're whatever you're doing, you're just working very hard. You have a lot of things that you're doing, and you say, oh, I need to do this, I have this to do, and I have that to do, and you know if I don't do this, this will never get done. This has to be done before a certain time. And so you're working and you're working and you're going on. You're trying to complete and accomplish a heavy, heavy workload in a short period of time. And of course, you're not going to have time to sleep. Okay? There's too much on your plate. There's too much. And I know especially women, oh gosh, especially women, because it's like we just tend to do so much. I don't know what it is, how it was created, but it's like women, it seems, I know in this day and age, in this new millennium, okay, where women just tend to do everything. They're just doing everything. They're just taking on all kinds of things, all kinds of people's issues and problems, and I think it's because naturally we're just very nurturing, we're very caring. We're mothers, you know what I mean? We're sisters, we're whatever, we're grandmothers. We just naturally have this instinct to want to take care of everything and everybody all the time. And then on top of that, not to mention, a lot of us do have full-time work. We have, bills that we need to pay, and we're going out there and we're doing our work, or we have a business, we have a company. So we're in that age where we're just taking on too much. We're taking on too much. There's too much that we're doing, and there's no time for ourselves. Taking care of everyone's needs. That's just what I've observed and what I see and what I see within my family and what I see all over the place, okay? Things I've gone through too. Okay, so when our minds are busy and stressed and anxious, we cannot settle down for sleep. We're not. We cannot be in the space to settle down for sleep. Of course, you understand that, right? You're not going to be able to settle down to sleep. So there are also another group of us, and this is something I wanted to point out, and I'm pretty sure you know about it, and if not, you can totally relate to what I'm saying, is that there's another group of us that neglect sleep and rest because of some kind of cultural upbringing and or life experiences pertaining to cultural upbringing, okay? Where we we were told, or we were demonstrated, or it was insinuated that we have to be this workhorse, or we don't deserve this rest, we don't deserve this rest for ourselves because we have to be working all the time. It's a cultural, what I'm speaking about is it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural upbringing, okay? Most likely, it's something that, it's a cultural upbringing that states a certain gender role, okay? So it's a gender role. And if I give it, I can relate to that. Not to say that it's necessarily happened to me too much on that level, but I can say within my culture, what I've observed, and from my, thank God it wasn't really within my nuclear family, within my, with my mother and my father. They didn't really raise me this way, but there were still remnants of that, I think, that leaked down to me. But I know within my culture, the Caribbean culture, that is my background, that people, that women are just seen as this worker. They just have to work and work and work. It's like everyone needs to get fed before they do. They cook the dinner, they clean, everyone needs to get fed before them. The house needs to be cleaned, the kids need to be okay, they need to do this. And of course, we're in that age where pretty much everyone's working. They're going out there and working, in their business or in a company or something. So they have to do that. Plus, they have to take care of all of their family, and then everybody needs to go to bed first before they can, think of going to their own bed and resting. But everyone has to be taken care of before them, and they're just this workhorse. I saw that, and I observed that in my culture, where it's just like the women, they have to do everything. It's like the husband needs to eat first, and the woman has to eat after, and she probably doesn't get as much, or she doesn't get, the cream of the crop type of food that she just made. I don't know if I made sense with that. I would say, okay, she doesn't get the best. She gets the leftovers. She gets the last. She doesn't get so much. But it's like, I just see within my culture. And of course it varies from family to family because everyone's different. But I just see that within the culture, it's like everyone, all the women, or women, I notice, they just have to be the one that's working and doing and putting everyone before their needs, and neglecting themselves, and neglecting their rest, and neglecting their comfort, and neglecting their need for consideration and respect. It's crazy. I just see that within my own culture, okay? So I believe that cultural upbringing could have a lot to do with that too, neglecting our sleep, or just not feeling that we should rest. I would say rest and sleep. Rest is something that I forgot to mention. Rest and sleep. Okay? So that's what I've observed with that. I've observed cultural upbringing can have a lot to do with that. Okay? And then there's another group of us where there's something you'd probably never think of. It's not really anything that you've probably ever heard before, but there's a group of us that neglects sleep because we're disturbed and agitated. And of course worried. I had a video about worry, you can watch that. But I would mainly focus on the fact that we're disturbed and or agitated, mentally or emotionally. Mentally and or emotionally. Okay, so let me explain to you exactly what I mean. So, when we settle down for sleep, okay, when we are getting to that, I guess, process or that stage of getting ready to go to bed, we are with ourselves. If you're not, distracted by someone, if you're not talking to anyone, whatever, but we are with ourselves when we're getting ready for bed, okay? So we're with our thoughts, we're with our emotions, we reflect over the day, memories resurface, and I can relate this to traumatic memories, flashbacks, right? And this can be disturbing and annoying. And we don't want to put ourselves in that space, okay? So that is another reason, because we don't want to settle down for bed. I can give you a personal example so you can understand exactly what I'm trying to say here. Because for me, this is something that I'm looking back in retrospect, and it makes complete sense now that I'm older and I can see the patterns that I developed and things like that. But because I was abused sexually by my brother, okay, so at night is when this abuse occurred, and I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of you that can relate to that. It occurred at night, okay? So I was traumatized around these times. These were the times where I was traumatized. These were the times where sometimes I would be sleeping, and then he would come into my room and wake me up, and then he would do whatever he wanted to do, and then he would leave. So I got this trauma of being disturbed at night, right? And that leaked into, even after it was done, it leaked into my routine of going to bed. Or not just routine, it leaked into how I would deal with sleep, and how I would just neglect my ability, or I would neglect sleep. I would neglect sleeping. Okay, so it's a really strange thing. So when I would go to bed, like when it would be time for me to go to bed, I would stay up. I could be tired, I would want to sleep, but I would still stay up because there's a part of me that's still traumatized. I wanted to sleep, but I wouldn't sleep. I would neglect it. So I would stay in bed, and I would do whatever I can to keep myself up all night. Or not all night, but for a long time, until I just couldn't take anymore and I'd have to sleep. Because I think I was still experiencing some kind of PTSD. So, because I would associate nighttime with abuse. So, even though as much as I wanted to sleep, it was like my mind would have this pattern that, okay, you're going to have to wake up because he's coming. He's coming into your room. Okay? So you have to think about it sometimes in a way where sometimes we neglect our sleep because we are flashing back to that time, or subconsciously you have this pattern that's going on in your mind that, okay, I need to stay up. Ooh, excuse that thunder, okay? But we have this idea that, okay, well, I need to stay up. It's a conditioning, it's a pattern. So I would neglect sleep. Not consciously though. Not really. When I really would sit there and think about it, I wouldn't consciously know, why am I staying up, and why do I continue to keep myself up even though I'm dead tired? Because it was a trauma. It was a stress. It was a PTSD, I think. Okay, so I would sit there and neglect my sleep and keep myself distracted until I was too exhausted to sleep. So that's another point I wanted to make, okay? That is another point I wanted to make. So we stay distracted by TV, by texting, by YouTube, by social media, until we're too exhausted to stay up any longer. So, I think it's really just like I wouldn't say a coping mechanism. Maybe I would say it's a coping mechanism because of that trauma, or because of that memory, or that subconscious thing that is replaying in your mind over and over again. Because with me, that abuse did not happen one time. It happened over the course of about 2 years. I would say a little less than 2 years. So my brain developed this pattern. Okay, I had a lot of insomnia. Even when I would go to sleep. I mean, yes, I said that I would stay up and I would keep myself up. But even when I would say, okay, you know what, I gotta go to sleep, because I have no choice. I have to go to school, or I have to go to work, or whatever. And I'd go to sleep, and I would still wake up. I'd still wake up out of nowhere. I would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's usually the time period where I'd get abused. So I'd wake up at that time, and I would lie there in the bed, depending, probably for 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. And then I'd go back to sleep, and then wake up, and I'm dead tired the next morning because of that trauma, that thing that's going on in my mind. I had a real problem with sleep when I was younger. Even still, I still struggle with it a little bit sometimes. It just really depends. It's sometimes you get triggered, and sometimes stressful situations trigger you, and sometimes it brings you back to that time, right? But I I'm a lot better. I am a lot better. I still struggle, but I'm a lot better because I've healed and I've dealt and I've found different ways to get myself sleeping properly and sleeping correctly. So um, that's absolutely what I wanted to talk to you about with what are the reasons why we neglect sleep. Okay. Anyway, so let's get to the knowing about why is it so damaging to neglect sleep. Well, first off, the body cannot function at its optimum when it's tired. It can't. Okay? If you notice that when you're tired, you know how you feel when you're tired. Your sleep revitalizes, it renews, it repairs your body. Oh boy, here we go again. Okay? It renews, repairs your body when it's deprived. No. The sleep revitalizes, it renews, it repairs the body while you're sleeping. Okay? When it's deprived, when your body is deprived, it's harder for it to fight infections. You get sick more readily. You cannot recover as readily. Okay? You have a lower energy level. I notice that when I'm tired, I'm slower, I'm inefficient. I mean, it's just science anyway. It's not just with me, it's with almost everybody. You're slower, you're less efficient. I'm clumsy when I get really, really tired. So it's not a good thing for me. I'm no good when I'm tired. I can't operate when I'm tired. Okay, so sleep also helps the mind, its cognitive abilities, okay? You have a better memory, you're more sharp, you can pick up things faster. It helps with your mind. Also emotionally too. With emotional wellness, and this is another thing too, because I think a lot of people forget that it is good for your emotional wellness. It's essential to your emotional wellness. You become you're more balanced when you're, well rested. Have you noticed that? If you had like a really crappy night's sleep, okay, and then you wake up and then you go and you just don't feel as good, you feel irritable, you feel miserable, you feel more um, upset, you don't really have such a good clarity or a good perspective of life. You're more balanced and you're more positive. You have a more positive outlook. You're more happier and calm when you have better sleep habits, when you sleep better. You just feel better. Okay? Emotionally and mentally, physically, you feel better. When you're deprived, you tend to feel more sluggish. Of course, unfocused. Unfocused. Oh, that's another thing. Unfocused, yes. You can't really focus. You may forget things. You may be confused. More bewilderment because you're so tired. You're unbalanced. Emotionally off kilter. You're irritable. Miserable. And if it's gone on for too long, and this is just scientific fact as well, if you don't sleep enough, you are going to, for too long, if it's prolonged and it's too long, it leads to depression. So that's an emotional, problem that you don't want. You don't want to be depressed. And if you're already depressed, you don't want to be more depressed than you already are because you're lacking sleep. So it doesn't matter whether you deny yourself sleep unintentionally or unintentionally or intentionally, like I have for a long time. You compromise your well-being, and it's because sleep is essential to your well-being. It's essential. It's important, right? Okay. So, what are the ways that we can reverse this habit? I'm going to go through a few different ways. Okay, well, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say meditation. I'm going to say meditation because it really, really helps to calm you down. It really does, to soothe and balance yourself so you are better able to sleep. Meditation for sure. If you can't really do a real meditation in the way that a lot of people would classify it, just do a couple deep breaths, a few deep breaths, until you could feel yourself coming down and coming off of that agitation or stress or worry, or just to breathe out the day. Breathe out the day. Meditation, deep breathing. Another thing, okay, is for sure minimize your time spent on entertainment, on technology. Minimize that. Minimize it. You must do that. Okay? For phones and texting and computer and TV. Because, first of all, let me say this, because I didn't know about this until a few years ago, but literally on a scientific, literally, you looking at a screen of technology, whether it's a phone or it's a computer or it's a TV screen, it emits this blue light, okay? And the thing is, your brain or your mind, it needs darkness. It needs darkness to produce melatonin. And melatonin is a hormone that your brain sends out to your body so you can feel tired and you can sleep. It enables you to sleep. That's why we feel tired, is when the melatonin has been produced, enough has been produced, so we feel tired, okay? But what that blue light does when you're getting it from these screens that you're looking at, it suppresses that production of melatonin so that we feel more alert and awake and not tired. And that could stop us from sleeping. Okay? That can stop you from sleeping, is when you have this screen in your face, and it's going to prevent your brain from producing enough melatonin so you can feel sleepy enough so you can sleep. So minimize that. Minimize the time you spend on those things, those entertainment technologies, okay? Or if you can, I would probably suggest that you can do that. I mean, it's not to say that you can't do it or you can't watch your TV or be on your phone or whatever, but try to do that more than an hour before that you go to sleep. Don't do it right before you go to sleep when you're in bed, because it's just going to mess up the production of melatonin for your brain. Your brain won't really produce as much. Okay? So try to do that. Try to minimize your time spent on entertainment technology. It also serves as a distraction for yourself. I mean, just for yourself and for the things that you need to do, and just knowing that, okay, I need to sleep now. It serves as a distraction. You become engrossed in what you're looking at, and you don't realize that you have a lot of other things to do before you go to sleep, or a few other things you need to do before you go to sleep, or even you just knowing that you need to sleep. It's a distraction. So set a timer. Set a timer. Give yourself a time limit for how you are going to, for how long you're spending on these things that you're doing here. And I would suggest that you don't do this stuff right before bed. You just do it, like, let's say an hour before you get ready to go to bed. Or more than an hour. But just let's just say that you're going to allow time for you to get ready for bed or think about going to bed, but just do it before. Just do it before, like an hour, hour and a half before you actually decide to go to bed. So I would say that. So, and that you have to develop discipline for that, because I know it's really hard. There's a lot of things blinking, and this show's coming on, and this, and you want to check out this video over here, and so and so wants to text you. It's hard to do that. But if you really want to sleep, you gotta develop discipline. Okay, so next thing is, and this can tie right into the last point I said, is make a schedule for your day. Make a schedule for your day. organize your day the best way you can possibly do it. Okay, so organize your day the best way you can. So if you have many things to accomplish, you have many things to do, just take what is priority, the thing that you need to do for that day, the things you need to do for that day, the things that you know you cannot put off. You do those things, the priority. Prioritize what it is that you need to do. Do those things and do only what you can do in that day, okay? Leave the rest. Leave the rest. Leave it for another day. Leave it for another time. This is about priorities here, because you don't want to overburden and overwork yourself so that you don't even have time to sleep, or you're too busy and stressed and anxious that you can't sleep. You're trying to make it easier on yourself. So just take only what you need to do for that day. Do it to the best of your ability. Okay? And even still, like, if you must do something that you don't necessarily want to do, or you don't really, if you must do something that doesn't really need to be done in that day, if it's not priority, then set a time limit for that thing. Just do it for like 30 minutes or 15 minutes. Just do a little bit. You know, break the time down and do a little bit of it. That way you don't burn yourself out, you don't work yourself to death, you know, and you have time. You organize it in a way where you leave time for rest. You have your time. You have your set time to sleep. You have your set time for rest. And you don't deviate from that. So you say, okay, I'm going to get 7.5 hours of sleep tonight. That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock. Okay? I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock. That's what I'm going to be doing. So the next thing is for you to create a bedtime routine. Create a bedtime routine. So once you organize your day, you should create a bedtime routine. And so what happens is when you do a bedtime routine, you create a bedtime routine, your mind will create a pattern. Just like you created a pattern to neglect your sleep, or to, go to bed at 3 o'clock and wake up at 7 or something. Your brain will create a new pattern where it will develop this anticipation for you to sleep. You have to create this. You have to create this routine for yourself. So you do this in order to give greater importance to this sleep. Okay, so what you do is for example, let me use an example for me, okay? This is just to give an idea. But what I've done for a while now, for years now, is that I've created a bedtime routine. Not that I really, I did consciously want to sleep better, but it kind of developed into a routine. But mainly what I do is that I just make sure that I go to bed at a certain time. So that's how you organize your day. You get to bed. You want to start getting ready for bed at a certain time, which is around 9 o'clock for me. And then I take a shower. And what I do is I leave a dim light in my bathroom. A dim light, not a bright overhead light. I leave a dim light in my bathroom so that, I can have the melatonin produce in my mind or produce in my body. Okay? And that can get me into the state and let my mind know that it's time to sleep. Once I get out of that shower, I drink some tea, which is some jasmine tea that I like to drink. And that also puts me in a calmer state because, it's a natural herbal tea that induces sleep too. So I do that. And then I probably read a passage of a book, or I may just sit there and drink the tea and settle down all the way to sleep. But you come up with a routine. You come up with a routine that's going to cause your brain to know, okay, it's time to sleep. Because your mind is you can condition it. So if you condition it the right way, then it will respond, right? It will respond the way that you want it to respond. So that's how I did. That's what I did. I created a bedtime routine. So every time a certain period of the day comes or the night comes, I automatically feel tired because I've already created that routine and I know that it's time to go to sleep. Okay? And for the next point, and that ties into the bedtime routine, is that you can take natural substances too. If you're someone who, I guess, struggles with falling asleep, or you just can't seem to really calm down, you can take natural substances. Natural substances. Natural, okay? Not drugs. I'm not telling you to take drugs. But there's natural herbs and natural plants and things that you can use um, at a certain time of your bedtime routine that can help a great deal. Like I said with the jasmine tea, very good. It's very good for your, calming you down and bringing you down and de-stressing. It helps to distress your mind and your body. So it works on different levels. Very good for you. Also, chamomile tea is a very good thing. Chamomile is another one that causes you to relax. And of course, everybody's different. Everything is not for everybody, but I'm just telling you what I've used and what I've tried. Chamomile is another one too. Um, oh, there's another thing, but this is not a plant. Is it a plant? Gosh, I don't even know. But it's turmeric. Turmeric. It's usually this. It is this powder, this yellow powder that you can use in cooking and things like that. That stuff works excellent too. Turmeric very purges your body too, cleanses your body, cleanses your system, but it also helps with sleep. A lot of people use turmeric. Use turmeric to help them with their sleep, or having them putting them into a better place where they can sleep. Okay, so turmeric is a very good thing, as well as chamomile and jasmine tea, and there's a lot others. There's a lot others that you can look up. But for sure, that is something that I like to do, is create a bedtime routine and take some herbal tea or drink some herbal tea. That just calms me right down. Now, the next point is, if you are agitated and or disturbed or upset, you're having flashbacks. The first thing you do is really, if you're having a flashback, or you're just having something that is just popping up into your mind and that you cannot help, it's just something that's coming out, you just have to let it come out. You just have to let it come out. It's not about, I'm not going to sit here and say that you're to suppress it, or you're not to know that it's happening, or you're trying to use all your might to not let it come out. It's going to come out when it comes out. That's not something you can really necessarily anticipate that it's going to come out. You get a flashback, you get a flashback. Your subconscious mind is releasing certain things that need to come out. Let it come out. Let it happen. Okay? Now, if you're having a really bad, if you're getting to a place where you're dwelling on a bad memory, okay, so you're really focusing your mind on this thing and it's becoming worse, then what you need to do is really begin to take yourself away from it and put yourself in a present moment. Put yourself in the present moment by doing things like meditation, like I told you, but it's just putting yourself into a better space. And you can do that by maybe also listening or watching something that is soothing, or something that is funny. Yeah, another thing is funny. Watch something that's funny, or listen to something that's funny. It's just something that you want to put yourself back into the present moment, so you can put yourself in this now, so you're not thinking about what was or what happened or whatever. But I understand with the flashbacks is something that's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. So you just have to allow that to happen, or allow it to flash, okay? But then what you do is you move yourself from that response that your body is having, to know that you are here in the now, and to put yourself in the present moment. Make yourself present, okay? And know that it was just a flashback. It's not happening again, okay? It's not happening again. So that's first flashback. And if you're having memory resurface, or you're dwelling on a memory, when you're dwelling on a memory, you can take yourself away from that memory by doing something to get you in the present moment. If you're worried, I have a video already about worry, okay? You can go to that video. So that's basically what I have to say about that. So you're just doing something to put yourself in the present moment, to listen or to watch something that's soothing or funny, Balance yourself with meditation and deep breathing. Calm yourself, okay? Also, with the soothing and funny stuff, you elevate your energies and you put yourself in a better state so you're able to sleep. You see, I notice that when I go to bed and I'm in a really bad mood, it really disrupts my sleep. I wake up anyway, and I'm still angry, or it's like that energy or those emotions were marinating for the next 3 4 hours, and then I wake up and it's like I'm even more angry, I'm even more worried, or I'm even more disturbed than I was before. So I would suggest that you put yourself in a place where you change your energies, you change your emotions, you change the state that you're in. You guide yourself to a better state or better feeling state, more soothing, more calming, more balancing state. So you're better able to go to sleep and stay asleep. Okay, and you feel better in the morning because you already put yourself in a better state as you're going to sleep, because your mind marinates on this stuff. Okay, I don't believe that when we're thinking about something and then we go to sleep, it just goes away, it just disappears. No, no, no. Your subconscious is feeding on that. Your subconscious is taking that in, and it's dwelling on that, or it's just you're marinating in those emotions and in those feelings and in that state. You don't want to be marinating on things that are negative or disturbing or worrisome or agitating to you. You want to put yourself in a better state. But anyway, that's just my opinion for that. So hopefully that can possibly help you if you are neglecting sleep or you have trouble sleeping at night. So sleep is very important to our well-being, guys. Very important, very important. So if you're intentionally doing it to yourself, I would advise you to put more importance on your sleep, because it's essential. It's foundation. It's a foundational thing. It's a foundational thing to your well-being. And it needs to be one of our priorities and, of course, our responsibility. So if your body is sending you the signal that you need to sleep, you need to listen to that, because your body knows what it needs. It knows what it needs. When you respond to your body, you're a happier, healthier person. If you obey it, you'll have better health. You'll have a more balanced and clear mind. And then, of course, you're able to really do what it is you want to do and live the way you want to live and heal and recover and become your best self. Okay? So that's all for today, guys. Very short video, I know. Thanks for listening to A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Wholeness After Sexual Abuse. If you enjoyed this, you can subscribe to this podcast to hear more episodes. Next week, we will explore how to overcome physical neglect, part 2. And I will be speaking about neglecting food. So be sure to tune in. Until next time, take care.